Brighton currently find themselves 7th in the Premier League, 8 points behind 4th place Man United with a game in hand. With 8 more points after 19 games than at this stage last season, a campaign that saw them finish with a Premier League record points tally, there is every chance that 22-23 will go down as the best season in their history. But logic would dictate it really shouldn't be like this. Over the last 6 months they have lost their manager, much of his backroom staff and left wing back to Chelsea, their star midfielder to Spurs, that star midfielder's long-term replacement to an unfortunate early retirement, their top scorer of the last 3 seasons to Everton, and their biggest goal threat this campaign to Arsenal. Given the circumstances, a lot of clubs would be looking to avoid a relegation battle rather than have aspirations of qualifying for Europe. So how have Brighton done it? What about their appointment of De Zerbi and recruitment strategy has propelled the Seagulls from good to great? Today on FD Explained, we find out. There was a huge amount of pressure on Roberto De Zerbi when he was appointed Brighton manager on the 18th of September 2022. Firstly because Graham Potter had done an excellent job on the South Coast. In just over 3 seasons he'd managed to steadily improve their results, beating every member of the top 6 bar Chelsea at least once, and revolutionised their style from a defensive deep block side under Chris Hughton to a tactically flexible one that pressed high and created overloads in attacking areas. Secondly, because De Zerbi was unfamiliar to many pundits on these shores, despite the excellent job he'd done at Sassuolo, prior to a spell at Shakhtar Donetsk which was cut short by Russia's invasion. In northern Italy he'd helped develop Manuel Locatelli, Stefano Sensi, Matteo Politano and Mero Demiral into talents wanted by top clubs, leading to a £14.2 million net profit in 3 years. All whilst playing entertaining front foot football which consistently led the Nerazzurri into mid-table. Despite this hugely encouraging CV, well-established football pundits such as Graham Souness questioned his record and suggested he represented a risky appointment by Brighton. But he's been a revelation. Taking over a side sitting 4th, Brighton fans had to wait nearly a month to see De Zerbi's side in action, due to the passing of Queen Elizabeth leading to the postponement of their game against Bournemouth and a rail strike delaying their match against Palace. But it was worth the wait, with a hugely entertaining 3-3 draw at Anfield, a glimpse of things to come, with Arsenal's new signing Leandro Trossard scoring all 3, the first Brighton hat-trick since the 1980s. Although it might have taken them until their 6th game under De Zerbi to secure their first win, a satisfying 4-1 thrashing of Chelsea, their results since with 4 wins from their last 7 league games have been defined by an increased threat in front of goal. They've scored 26 times in 13 games under the new management, a record bettered only by Man City, Arsenal and Spurs. Having averaged just 1.1 goals per game under Graham Potter in 21-22, even going 3 months without a goal at the Amex at one stage, this represents a much desired improvement. Once the butt of endless jokes about expected goals, having scored 29.7 goals fewer than the metric suggests they should have across Potter's 3 full seasons, 14 more than next worst Everton in that period, they've now scored 26 goals against an XG of 22.7 under their new manager. Players that were lambasted for their wastefulness have found their goal-scoring boots under De Zerbi. Lallana, who scored 1 goal in his first 65 appearances following his free transfer from Liverpool, has scored 2 in his last 7. While Solly March, who scored 3 goals in 81 games under Graham Potter, ended a run of 62 shots without a goal on Boxing Day, the longest run in the Premier League, and has added a further 3 goals and an assist in his last 3 outings. This has been supplemented by the emergence of 18-year-old Evan Ferguson. The striker, one of a raft of quality young players brought in from Ireland by former academy head John Morling, has seamlessly adapted to Premier League football, scoring 3 goals including a strike against Arsenal and laying on 2 assists in 199 minutes of Premier League action. Whilst this output is unsustainable, Seagulls fans are delighted with the prospect of having a clinical marksman to complement Danny Welbeck's excellent all-round play. Whilst De Zerbi's side have been far from perfect, only managing to keep 2 clean sheets in 13 games and throwing away a chance of progressing deep into the EFL Cup by losing on penalties to Charlton, a result that De Zerbi has continued to publicly lament, the signs of progress are clear. Perhaps the best indicator of their improved fortunes is their results on the road, with Arsenal and Spurs the only sides to top their 17 points from 10 away games, and no side scoring more than their 21 away goals, only 2 fewer than they managed in 19 away games in 21-22. But to put Brighton's success solely down to De Zerbi would be a disservice to the project as a whole. A year ago today, Brighton were preparing for a clash away at Vicarage Road, with their most recent game a 1-1 draw against Leicester, one of 9 1-1 draws they secured last season, a result that came to define Potter's Brighton. Their team that day included Dan Burn, Marc Cucurella, Leandro Trossard and Neil Maupay, who have all since left the club. Of course, as mentioned at the start of the video, that is nothing new for Brighton. This is a club that has made a net profit of just under £72 million since the start of 2021 and continue to move forward. So much so they are competing with clubs like Man United and Spurs for European spots. This has long been the stated ambition of Brighton's much-loved owner Tony Bloom, who was asked in May 2021, shortly after they finished 16th, whether European football was a possibility for the club. He replied, "If being top 10 is realistic, so is getting into Europe." And under Bloom, it doesn't feel like a pipe dream. A man who made his millions in the sports betting industry, he's taken no chances with Brighton's development. The data-led model used by Bloom's company Star Lizard to revolutionise the sports betting industry has been used by the Seagulls recruitment team to spot talent to then be nurtured and sold at vast profits. They flipped Marc Cucurella for a £42 million profit after just 12 months, replacing him with Pervis Estupiñán, who had made 10 appearances for Villarreal as they made the Champions League semi-finals last term. They sold Ben White to Arsenal for over £50 million after just 36 Premier League appearances for the club, and lost Dan Burn to Newcastle, but have utilised the loan market to sign Chelsea's Levi Colwill, who has featured in 5 of their last 6 league matches. The examples go on and on. Leandro Trossard joined Arsenal in January, whilst Basuma signed for Spurs in the summer. But the impact of these departures were negated by the fact they had already secured Cairo Matoma and Moses Caicedo as their long-term replacements and integrated them into the first team. The duo were signed for a combined £7 million and will surely lead to a £100 million profit at the very least if they were ever to be sold. Even last month, as they expected interest in World Cup winner Alexis McAllister and batted off £60 million bids from top 6 clubs for Caicedo, they brought in Facundo Buenanote from Rosario, billed as the next Alexis McAllister. The departures haven't just happened on the pitch. Former technical director Dan Ashworth was poached by Newcastle, whilst head of recruitment Paul Winstanley and recruitment analyst Carl McCauley followed Potter and much of his backroom staff to Chelsea. During such a tumultuous period of upheaval, having strong leadership from above, ensuring everyone sticks to the club's long-term plan is vital. Brighton's chief executive Paul Barber, who has acted as Bloom's right-hand man for over a decade, has been central to this. He explained to The Athletic that the club's foundations are strong, saying, "We have slowly but surely been building the infrastructure, the people, the policies, the procedures, the quality of squad and coaches, the quality of the academy and the pipeline of players coming through." And this isn't just talk. Their £32 million training facility in Lansing, which opened in 2014, has had a £15 million upgrade in recent years. They have spent £7 million on building a women's football hub as they look to progress in the Women's Super League, and they continue to try and foster and develop their relationship with the fans, becoming the third side in the country after Man City and Spurs to build a covered fan zone outside the stadium, and introducing the Tunnel Club experience seen at other clubs. It's clear, therefore, that Brighton are being powered by strong leadership, smart investment in the club and recruitment, and an excellent managerial appointment. With Burnley, Everton, Fulham, Leicester, Southampton, West Ham and Wolves, all below Brighton in the table, having qualified for Europe over the last 14 seasons through their league position, there is absolutely no reason why the Seagulls can't do the same. With games against 4 of the bottom 9 sides and their 6 before the end of March, there is every chance they consolidate their current position in the coming weeks. Do that and there'll inevitably be interest in a number of their stars and manager come the summer. But Brighton, the perfect example of how to run a football club, are no doubt prepared for that. So guys, that was our Explained on how Brighton went from good to great. What did you guys think of it and what do you want to see us cover next on Explained? Let me know in the comments down below. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Football Daily, and I'll catch you next time.